You guys are live.
Good morning and welcome to the Village Board Work Session meeting for June 4th. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
to the
republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty and justice for all.
Will you all please remain standing for a moment of silence for George Floyd? Okay, please be seated. Now, we were all horrified by the events surrounding the death of George Floyd, and earlier this week, I issued a statement on behalf of the village, so I'd like to just read that statement. As mayor of East Hampton Village and a former law enforcement officer, I want to share with my community and the public at large that I am both saddened and outraged at the murder of George Floyd. There is no reason, justification, or excuse that can support such a senseless and abhorrent action. I pray for justice for George Floyd and his family and friends. This is not a time to incite more violence and injustice, but a time to make change. From the darkness of the death of George Floyd, we must all reach inside ourselves to find a light to show us the way to compassion and understanding for all lives. I want us all to support finding meaningful and peaceful ways to elicit change and be part of a process that finally produces a world where no man, woman, or child fears living. Just a reminder, there is going to be a Black Lives Matter demonstration this Sunday between 2 to 5, right, at the Hook Mill on the north end of the village for anybody that would like to attend. Okay, you, King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a budget hearing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's talk budget. The first budget that the village had was $62,000, all right? And that budget was largely fashioned, I'm sure, with the help of the first mayor, Jonathan Baker. You know what happened to him after 2 years? He was voted out of office because he was considered not progressive enough. He also is the mayor who served the shortest amount of time. However, Mayor Lawler is attempting to break that record. Okay, now the second budget is from 1927, $65,000. And you know what the village taxpayers did that year? They purchased Home Sweet Home Museum for $60,000. Now we come to 1931 when the village budget was $71,000. And there was a movement in the village to sell all the contents of Home Sweet Home in order to pay for the purchase of the building. Luckily, that went nowhere. 1937, in the middle of the Depression, the village budget was $66,000. The village taxpayers then voted to purchase Main Beach for $20,000. Can you imagine if you did not have control of that place right now? 1939, while the Depression was going on, Judd Bannister and the village board put the Hook Windmill back in working operation and hired Charles Puff Dominy to work there. He was living at the Dominy House at the time. Speaking of the Dominy House, it's 1941. The village budget is $82,000, and Oscar Brill has bought the Dominy House. He had the store right next door to it. I think it's a flower shop and something else right now. He offered it to the village for $6,000 if they make it into a museum. Judd Bannister writes a letter to the taxpayers in the village saying if we have $6,000, we can buy the Dominy House. Nobody pays any attention. It's December of 1941. The war starts. Everybody forgets about it. In 1946, the Dominy House was torn down. However, Dudley Roberts saved both the clock shop and the furniture shop. And when nobody wanted them, either the Historical Society or the village, he moved them up on his property. So he saved them. And then according to Bob Hefner, he saved them again because in the 1950s, when Ethel Marson bought the sold the Dominique tool collection to Winterthur, they wanted both the clock shop and the furniture shop, and he didn't sell it to them. And look where they are today. Okay? All right, now this is a budget hearing, right? So we all have to do our part to keep the budget under control. So I'm willing to accept the position of village historian at no additional compensation. Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Much appreciated. Okay, so now we're at the public comment portion of the meeting. So if anybody has any comments and would like to phone in, we'll give a couple of minutes for that.
Mr. Mayor, before we get to any phone calls, I just wanted to say one thing. I noticed that the Elms Party on their website put out a very informative comment about the varying phases of reopening in the village. And I think it would be very appropriate if you would put that on the village website and the village Facebook page, because I don't think we need people to go to a political website to get good information about the village.
I posted this morning, Tiger, on the village's Facebook page, the link to all the phases.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And it will go on, and it will go on the website too.
Okay, thanks. That's what I wanted to say. I don't want to make it sound like I'm making a political pitch, because it's not meant to be that. It's meant to be to get the information out to the people. So,
okay, thank you for that. Any callers yet?
There's currently no callers on the line.
Okay, so then let's move on to our public hearing, which is the budget for 2020 to 2021. Becky, could you elaborate on that, please?
Sure. I'll just do another overview from the last meeting work session where the tentative budget was presented to the Board of Trustees. There has been nothing changed in the final budget that is before you today. As I went through during the last work session, given the financial conditions of the economy that we're in, and reviewing revenues and how that would affect any expenditures for the budget. As you recall, the village budget is proposed to go over the tax cap by about just over $50,000, and we were able to use a rollover portion, which is a calculation I get from the state based on taxes levied last year of about $10,000. So the property tax overage is about $40,000 right now. Again, certainly as the new fiscal year unfolds, and if revenue conditions, market conditions improve, the board certainly can amend the budget during the fiscal year. I know that there are a number of departments that are looking for capital expenditures, whether it's equipment or other types of projects, and certainly the board can amend the budget. And just to give a quick update on the current fiscal year, and we've been watching the revenues there as well. As of yesterday, only uncollected on the revenue side for this budget is under $800,000, which is a pretty decent pace. And again, a majority of that will be due to the village under either a contract or through grants or funding that we receive from New York State, like CHIPS funding. As you know, that there will be some funding that won't be received. As of right now, the concession is not operating at Main Beach, so that amount will be prorated. So that loss of revenue for the current fiscal year will be about $22,000 when it's prorated over the 2 fiscal years that he operates. In addition, the village is, as you know, not selling daily beach passes, so there will be a decrease in revenue there as well, and also parking ticket revenue due to relaxed enforcement during the pandemic. So, but again, the village, I'm cautiously optimistic at the way that the revenues are at the moment as the village goes into the new fiscal year.
Well, thank you very much. And I just want to remind everybody that due to your budgeting process over the years, that we have A1 rating, which is one of the highest that you can have. And we recently were able to save the taxpayers over $160,000 with a bond refinancing. So I appreciate that very much. And I'm sure that the taxpayers appreciate that. Anybody else with a comment?
No, just thanks to Becky for her hard work. I know how hard it is putting that budget together, and she's put a very nice fiscally conservative budget together for this year when there's so many unknowns. So thank you, Becky, for that.
Yeah, and there's only one rating higher than AA1, so, and that's very hard to get.
Very, very good. And Becky, again, thank you very much, and please thank your staff for all the hard work that they do.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
All right. Do I need a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed and carried. Okay, so now we're on to discussion. Chief Terza, do you have some information for us?
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the board. So it's at this time, I'd like to publicly announce that given the ongoing COVID-19 health crisis, the uncertainty over the next few months as to what's going to happen with mass gatherings, and in the general interest of public safety, the fire department is going to be canceling our annual fireworks that were scheduled for August 15th and 16th of this year, and we will not be rescheduling them at any point this year. We were kind of hoping to have an event, hoping to have things loosen up, give everybody a chance to get out, stretch their legs. I think everyone needs it, especially this type of an event to kind of galvanize us a little bit, but there's no way we could possibly pull off a mass gathering in good conscience with the health and safety of the public, in mind. So we will be canceling that event, and we will be notifying the press over the next week or so to get that message out there.
Okay, well, thank you. That's certainly disappointing, but I think it's better to be safe than sorry. So thank you very much for that, and all the work you do throughout the year to keep us safe. Very much appreciated. Anybody else? Any comments regarding that?
No, I agree. It's disappointing, but it's probably a prudent measure at this point. And yes, thank you, Jerry.
And I think there's one particular village resident that will be very happy about this. So.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the village reopening updates from Deputy Mayor Borzak, who has been on that reopening committee.
Okay, well, contrary to what some people might be saying, we've actually been working on this for quite some time. We started talking about in April what the village could do to assist the businesses in reopening, and we decided to have two committees, one that would deal with the commercial businesses and a separate committee that would deal specifically with the restaurants. So I'm going to report on the business one, which is the one that the mayor and I sat in on. We met for the first time the first week in May, and we met every week since then to talk about what we can do to assist the businesses. And the chamber was on that committee. There were some business owners and managers and landlord who rents to a number of local businesses and has some good fingers into the community. So it was a very good committee, as well as village staff, of course, code enforcement and our business administrator and our lawyers. So we had a lot of discussions, talked about a lot of different things, and we decided that we would be relaxing our codes on some outdoor display and signs. The businesses will need to go, and they'll get some instructions on this as we go forward. They'll have to go to the chair of the DRB and code enforcement, not sit before the whole DRB for a quick okay on whatever they want to do. They're going to have to show us exactly what they have in mind. We're talking about signs for windows, or doors, which the village has prepared and is going to be distributing within the next couple of days. So each business will have one of these signs on display for people to see before they come in. It'll explain that they need to wear masks and how many customers are allowed in the store at one time. And we'll also have space for their website and phone numbers on it. So they were happy about that idea. We also offered to post on our website and Facebook page if the chamber has developed a list of open businesses. We're happy to share that on our pages as well, on our social media. We've relaxed the parking limitations for the moment. We're going to hold that and wait and see what happens when parking becomes an issue again. Then we will, of course, begin to enforce again. But excuse me, at the moment, that's that's relaxed, and there are no summons being issued at this point. We're talking about some limited seating in Millstone Park, a couple of very small tables and chairs so that people can just sit and relax a little bit, get out in the fresh air. We put the benches back out, so we're happy to have people come and use the benches. We've also created some curbside pull-off areas, which we're working on signage for, so that people can, there'll be no parking areas where people can pull in and wait for their curbside drop-off or run into the store and pick up what they need, that they've already ordered. So it'll be a quick in and out area. There are a couple on Main Street and a couple on Newtown Lane. So you'll be seeing signs for those soon. Hopefully they're going to be up this weekend. And I think that's about everything, unless, Mayor, you can think of something else that I forgot.
Well, I just want to remind everybody, and the chief could maybe confirm this, although we're not going to be enforcing time parking in either one of our lots, Skank or Rudishan, we will be enforcing the 15-minute parking on Park Place, due to the fact that that's an obvious quick pickup or drop-off for people that are going into the stores for that purpose. And also that we'd just like to keep that area clear for deliveries and those sorts of things. So we will be enforcing other regulations, just not the time parking. Fire hydrants, the typical things that you find. So I just want to remind people of that. That's all. Thank you very much, Barbara, for that. Anybody else?
I'm sorry, Mayor. Are you talking about the 30-minute in?
I'm sorry, 30-minute. I said 15. I mean 30-minute. I'm sorry.
And the handicap, we probably will be enforcing the handicap. So people are to get a ticket for the timed parking?
No. They do not have to get a ticket. It's timed parking. It's different from getting a ticket. So
the machines are covered.
The machines are covered?
Machines are covered.
Okay.
How will people know that we're enforcing the perimeter for the 30-minute and so forth?
Because those signs are not covered. Those signs are conspicuous, like the hydrant signs or the loading zone signs. So those are left up. And we're just asking the merchants to be cognizant of that and not take advantage of the other time parking provision, leave your cars in front of a neighbor's store or so forth. So,
Sure.
We're just asking people to, if they pay attention to those signs, everybody will be fine. But the 2-hour limit is not being written, and the ticket machines are covered to indicate such.
Right. And on Newtown Lane and Main Street, Chief, are we enforcing the 1 hour?
No, we're not. Right now, we're not writing timed parking within the central business district or in the 2 primary lots. And that's as a result of feedback we've had from some of the community members and some of the merchants and some of the committees. They felt that given the current situation and the fact that the lots are primarily empty and the streets have been high turnover, pretty much empty, with the exception of people picking up takeout food. So in the interest of what we thought was fairness, we think that's a good policy for now until things get busier and we need the spots back.
So people will know that parking is being enforced when we uncover the machines.
Right.
And then we're going to give them a several days warning summonses. We're going to reach out to the merchants and to social media, the village's website, to let them know that the timed parking in the central business district and the 2 primary lots will be in full effect.
We have had some conversation also with the merchants about extending it to 3-hour parking for this season, just because we think it's going to take people longer to get done what they need to get done, and we want to encourage them to come into the village. We're not sure if we're going to go in that direction or not. That's still under discussion, and the board can certainly talk about that maybe at the work session in June. In July. But that's also on the table as a possibility.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
This
Yes.
is Jason over at LTV. I just wanted to let everybody know our live stream on our site is having a technical problem, but we have a separate YouTube live stream that's happening right now if people also need to tune in online. I just wanted to let everybody know. That's all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you again, Barbara, for that report. Anybody else have any other questions or comments regarding that? And thank you very much, Chief, for your input. Okay, Trustee Brown, could I ask you to give the report on the restaurant reopening committee, please?
Sure. I was recently asked by the mayor to chair the subcommittee along with Trustee Harden regarding the outdoor dining accommodations for restaurants and takeout food stores within the village footprint, both on public property, our village sidewalks, and private property. The village realizes really the significant financial impact due to the pandemic that the restaurants have endured, and we're really committed to trying to assist them and give them some relief by offering outdoor seating and dining within the village. When the restaurants, we are in phase 1 right now, which we all know, and phase 2 starts on Wednesday. And we just found out last night from the governor that instead of phase 3, restaurants will be able to reopen in phase 2, which will begin on Wednesday. And they'll be able to reopen with reduced indoor occupancy of 50%. So if we can offer them a few tables outside, that would help, close.
So I'm sorry, just to interrupt you, that the phase 2 is only outdoor
outside
seating
dining.
only, no indoor seating.
No indoors. Restaurants can open for indoor service still under phase 3.
Yes, sorry. So they're able to have restaurant. We just got all this guidance today too, and it's so evolving and changing every minute. So outdoor service, and they're not allowed to exceed their occupancy indoors with the outdoor seating. So it would just be for a couple of tables. Originally, we thought it would all happen in phase 3. We're happy that they'll be able to do some things in phase 2. They'll have to we have 6 feet of social distancing with all the tables. The servers will have to wear masks and so forth. This committee is comprised of, I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback on on this too, an echo. So that's a little, I'm sorry. I hope everyone can hear me okay.
We don't hear it.
You don't. I'm just hearing myself in an echo. The committee is comprised of village department heads and about 8 or 9 people from the business district, restaurant owners, and some representatives of the chamber. And we've really tried to discuss in the last week and a half how we can implement this program for outdoor seating with parameters and guidelines and an approval process and being able to permit it. We're talking now about utilizing the village sidewalks, the red brick area of the sidewalks, and not the cement part of the sidewalks. We had thought about allowing for tables adjacent to the restaurants on the cement part, but in order for people to be able to walk by and pedestrian foot traffic, that would really impede that. So we have to put it on the red brick, which is closer to the curb. We might be taking some parking spots that are in front of that dining, like in Sam's and at the Golden Pear, and taking some of those 2 parking spots there and hashing those out so that social distance can be maintained and they're not too close to a car that might be pulling into those parking spots or opening their door if they were to have that parking spot open, their car door, and then there's a table there. So there's lots of nuts and bolts to this. It's not as easy as just, allowing for the outdoor dining. Each restaurant will submit an application to the building department. They will review it, make sure everything is in accordance with the requirements from the governor. Also, the DRB chair will review it and sign off on it. It will not need a board meeting on, for the DRB. It's under their purview to be able to approve it without going before the whole board, which is great. And, we really tried to just delineate what would be necessary, that they can put tables and chairs, on the sidewalks between 8 a.m. and they would have to remove them by 11 p.m. that businesses would have to be responsible for the maintenance and the cleaning of that area. There have to be a submittal of appropriate insurance requirements to protect the village and so forth. And we have another meeting with them later just to go over things. And we're really excited. I think that this provision will really give a needed boost to the restaurants. And if the restaurants are doing well, then people are coming into the village, and I think the business will do well as you know, and the village residents and the people who come to visit the village. And it's a great pilot program. We get to see what outdoor dining would be like, and we can tweak it along the way as we get more guidance from the governor, of course. And I think it's a really great opportunity for us to test the waters. We might really enjoy dining al fresco, and we're really helping the restaurants who, you know, are relying on takeout only right now. They'll be able to serve outdoors in phase 2, and we're excited to be part of it. We've been working really, really fast, as expeditiously as we can. Everyone is trying to help everyone. They're collaborative and cooperative, and I really appreciate everybody's input on this committee, both from the business district and from the village. You know, I've been in village government for 20 years, 2 years on this board, and this is really the fastest that I've seen us work on a proposal of this magnitude. And I know Beth has really been great in getting this application together for the restaurants within the village. And we also are getting an application together for pre-existing non-conforming uses, which will be a separate application. And today we have another meeting with the restaurants to finalize, hopefully, the application that we have, the draft application, and we'll be ready to go.
Thank you very much, Trustee Brown. Anybody else with any comments?
No, I think that sounds great. Good work.
Right. Okay, I just want to stress that.
I just want to say that Beth and Becky and Rose.
Who is that?
I think it's
Ray.
Trustee Harden. I think he's not coming in. Ray,
I'm sorry. I just want to say that that Beth and Becky, Rose, and everybody on the committee has really been doing a lot of work, and we're going to pull this off really quick. So I think it's going to be a great thing for everybody.
Right. I agree. The mayor.
Thanks to both of you.
Yeah, this is the speed of government we really should have.
Yeah.
well, we're trying. I just want to emphasize that although some would have you believe that we only just started this because of some prompting of other people, that's not the case. If you recall the statement I made shortly after January when I was appointed mayor, I made it a point to say that we as a board were discussing these things and starting to work on these things back then, and have been pushing forward with it. In fact, the Planning and Zoning Committee, which at that point I was chair of, had already begun to talk about these things. And then, of course, the virus hit, and that kind of slowed the process down. But we've kind of picked up full steam here, and we've included village business people as well as residents on these committees. And I think it's worked out very well. And I think for the most part, everyone understands that we're doing the best that we can as quickly as we can to make things better for our business community and our residents alike. So I just want people to be aware of that. Now, the other thing that I just want to mention, and we're not definite in what we might do here, as I'm understanding it from our village attorney and other legal guidance, I can do some of these things by executive order, which I would like to do in the beginning just to expedite this. But I'm told that perhaps it may be better to do it a little bit more long-term with an actual board vote. So we're looking at both of these things, but I intend to, where I can, issue an executive order to expedite this whole process. And then along the way, if it becomes evident that we should do it by resolution, then of course we'll have a public hearing and a board meeting and a board vote. But just to let everybody know, that shouldn't slow the process down. So we're going to do what we can. As long as the board is in agreement, I'll do it by executive order to get things started. I just want to make that clear. Okay?
I'm in agreement with that.
Okay. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
We are all in, I think, agreement that an executive order would be the most, the fastest way to address it right now. And you would have to renew that executive order every 5 days, is my understanding, Mayor. And if we were to amend it in any way, you could do that. If we, this is a work in progress in a way. We've never done outdoor dining. We might think of something we need to add or amend, and that would also give us that opportunity to do so.
That's correct.
We're renewing it every 5 days.
Absolutely. And I would remind everybody, even if I did this by executive order, it would be after input from the committees, which is a representation of the whole community. So I just
And I
want
also think if anyone else has any village resident has any input as well, they can contact us, and certainly we want to hear from them too.
I think we also have to make sure that the residents understand this is not permanent code changes that we're talking about. This is temporary for this summer. That doesn't mean we can't at some point make changes to the code, which is always a possibility, but that there would be a longer process to go through to do that. And there would be a lot of public input in that procedure. So I just want to assure the residents, if they're hearing that and thinking we're all of a sudden going to allow things that we normally don't, that's not necessarily true. This is for this season to assist our businesses. And, if we want to make changes, then they'll certainly be aware of that when the time comes.
And this application is effective when, Rick obviously authorizes the executive order, and it goes through November 1st. And as you said, this is in a response to COVID, and it's a pilot program, and it's nothing, long-term. It's not going to be written into our code. It would be a sunset clause if we did put it into the code, where it would end at a specific time as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else with any comments? Okay, that concludes the discussion part of our meeting. We enter into the resolution part. Trustee Brown, could you read the first one, please?
Sure. I will make a motion to approve the $33,622.15 purchase of one 2021 Ford Utility Police Interceptor from Van Bortle Ford off Onondaga Company, New York State contract as per May 4th memo from Police Chief Michael Tracy.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so carried.
I make a motion to employ Devin G. Manser Jr. and Sarah Morgan as 2020 seasonal traffic control officers at the hourly rate of $16, effective June 5th, 2020, as per May 28 memo from Police Chief Michael Tracy.
Second.
Please. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so carried.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the $115,000 bid received from S. Gordon and S. Wakesell for the 2020 lease of Sea Spray Cottage number 8 as per June 1st, 2020 bid specifications.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried.
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 28-2020 to authorize the use of East Hampton Town tentative assessment roll dated May 1st, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so carried. Next, I make a motion to approve the $50,096.50 purchase of one emergency standby generator system to be installed at the Department of Public Works as per May 31st memo from David Collins, Superintendent of the Department of Public Works.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried. Next, I make a motion to adopt the 2020 through 2021 budget.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, so carried. Okay, that completes our resolution and motions portion of the meeting. Again, just one last time, does anybody have any public comment, any comments they'd like to make? We'll give just a minute for anybody that may want to call in again.
There are currently no callers on the line.
Okay, I'm told there are no callers on the line, so if nobody else has any other comments, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. That concludes our meeting for today. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.